Right, so we have our paste all ready to go. So we have our pasting brush here, length of paper that we've already cut. I'm going to show you how to do your fold for doing the vertical hanging and also horizontal hanging, and also correct process about how you apply the adhesive to the length of paper. I have this piece of string on the end of the bucket here. What we're going to do, we're just going to wrap this around the handle, making sure we keep it nice and tight. Just keep on looping it around until you get it nice and tight on there. Reason being is, when you're not using this, when you finish with doing it, rather than saturating it with loads of paste, you can put that onto the string. That will keep it nice and clean, ready for you when you need it for when you're applying your next piece of paper. So, first thing we do here, as you'll notice, it's all rolled back up on itself, and if you let it go, it all rolls back up. So what you need to do, you hold the length away from you, pull it back out, and then what we do now, we back roll. So you have to basically fold it back on itself, keep rolling it back so far, and then it doesn't matter if you flatten it down. Not too hard, but what will happen is when you put the paste onto the piece of paper, it will soften the fibres in the paper, a bit like when you wash your hair, when your hair goes all limp, and then that way then all the folds will all disappear. You need to do that on both ends of the paper. So I shall pull this bit out. Again with that, fold it back on itself. Gently flatten it down. Contrary to what you might believe with this lining paper, there is a front and there is a back. Normally the way that it folds up, the bit that's on the top is the top layer. So you need to flip this over. Sometimes on some of them you will see a different change in the colour on the actual paper itself. So we'll move our bucket out of the way. You can see now the paper isn't going to roll back up on me. Right, the other thing with lining paper is, it is the same width as your pasting table. Vinyl papers that you're going to hang, they will be narrower, so you need to make sure that you keep your table as clean as possible. The table is there to hold the paper, not to hold paste on it. So what we're going to look at doing, our first fold I'll show you will be the 2/3, 1/3 for doing a vertical hanging. So you load up your paste brush, and what you're going to do, you're going to work down the middle of the length and then work out in a crisscross pattern away from where you're working, making sure that you get plenty of paste on the edges. Don't worry about this section for the time being. Again, down the middle, out to your edges. And you do that for the whole length of the board. Any bristles that come out like that, make sure you remove those, because when the paper dries, you will see those on the surface that you've put the paper up on. Right, so the reason that you do that section first is because you can now step away from the table and you're not going to get paste all down the front of you when you're doing this section that's nearest to you. So again with that, down the middle, and then crisscross pattern, plenty of paste out to the edges, making sure you're trying to get as good a coverage as possible. Any little bits of paper like that are in the way, make sure you try and take those away if you can. Right, so we've got as far as we can for now. Last thing to do now, just before I start folding it, you can look and check in the light and look along the line there and then see if there's anywhere where you've missed. So I've missed a section just up here, so I can add a little bit of paste on there. So 2/3, 1/3 means exactly as it sounds. Get your paper, fold it all the way to the end, and then the important thing then is to line up all of the edges of your paper. That way then it will all soften at the same rate. If you leave an edge exposed, that will dry out quicker, and therefore then you'll have edges that will spring up. So now you've got that section there, you can bring this one all the way up, bring that to the edge of your table. Again, follow the same process. from the middle, out and you crisscross. And then same again, any little bits on there that are going to detract from the finished product, make sure you try and remove them if you can. Down to the nearest edge because you can step away from it now. Once you've got your good coating on there, just check again, and then this will be the 1/3. Making sure you're lining up your edges again. Normally now you'll leave that for 5 minutes just to make sure that it gets nice and supple, nice and easy for you to manoeuvre it around on the wall. Okay, so I just showed you the 2/3, 1/3 fold. So using the same length of paper, I'm going to show you how to do a concertina fold. This would be used for hanging horizontally, also for hanging a border. So get your edge of your paper. What you're looking at doing, you're making the edge as easy as possible for you to hold so that you can walk around the room as you're hanging the piece of paper. So you fold the first bit over, roughly about 30 centimetres, and what you do is you pick up the edge and fold it up on itself, pull the length up, and then you fold it over the top of itself. You're making it look a little bit like an accordion music player. Try and get the lengths of there as even as possible because that makes it easier for you to handle it. So again, pinch underneath, fold, pull it over, making sure you're lining up your edges as you go again, so make it so we've got even porosity on there. And then this length here, you can either fold it one more that way, or you can do a bigger fold going in this way. And then that way, then that'll be ready for you to hang. Again, leave that for 5 minutes, let it get nice and supple and easy to manoeuvre, and then you'll be ready to go.